Hey guys, this is a market update, and wow, what a week it's been for Ethereum. So we're going to talk about that in this video. A huge bid under the crypto market, really led by Ethereum here, up 40% in the last 7 days. We're going to look at the Bitcoin price, the Ethereum price, and then ETH BTC pair, because there's some hopium here for Bitcoin and there's some kind of reality here for ETH Bitcoin, which is really important to look at. So we're going to look at all of that throughout this video. Timestamps I'll leave in the description. First thing is hopium for Bitcoin. So what we're seeing here, some very quick TA on the chart, what is seemingly a potential bottom that we saw with this wick down here to what was 17,000 on BTC. Is this the ultimate bottom of this cycle? We don't know. Now, the stock market still has a ton of pain potentially. However, what we're going into, and I said this in other videos, is a different regime here of potentially rates staying the same or even moving down because of slowing economies. And what that means is, you know, high beta assets, long duration assets, which crypto is, they react first into the bear, but they also react first out of it as well, because these trade on rates a lot more than earnings. I will actually talk about earnings because Ethereum's making a ton of earnings that it's about to bring back to investors. The BTC chart right here, though, is a bit of hopium. What we saw in the last two consolidations before moves down is lower lows, right? So you can see this, I've got on the chart here, a lower lows being printed, and you can definitely see that the trend line is pointing down. You can see that on this consolidation here as well, with the trend line pointing down, right? So they are not good consolidations, right? It's essentially like just the most bearish price action. There's no real kind of, breakouts or anything to the upside. It's just pretty brutal. What you're seeing here on this consolidation though, is, potential bottoming, at least over the short term. You're seeing that these lows are actually rising. So these are higher lows. And then you're seeing the highs right here where it gets sold off, also rising a little bit. This is a potential channel right here where we're seeing some bottoming out. Now, what we're actually seeing is the price come off a little bit today down here, which would be normal because we've actually hit the peak right here of this trend line. So what I would watch for in this green box right here is what's happening in the stock market. There's a ton of earnings coming out from Meta, Visa, McDonald's. What's the economy doing? What's the consumer doing? So we may see this, if we're bullish, kind of go to the midpoint of this channel and potentially bounce from here. Or if it's potentially bearish, we're going to see another kind of dip down to 19,400, 19,500. That would actually be fairly normal and still continuing this uptrend. So hopium for Bitcoin, it's not the most outrageous chart where we've kind of broken through all of this and reaching for new highs, but that is something that Ethereum is doing. Before we look at the Ethereum chart, if you do want to use Bybit, which I'm using right here, I'll leave the link in the description. They'll give deposit bonuses. If you're new, you can sign up. No KYC for now. Deposit some crypto on there. They'll give you up to $4,000 only in your futures trading accounts. If you trade futures, definitely check that out. This is the ETH USD chart though, and we're going to look at ETH BTC pair in a minute. So what you're seeing here is a huge breakout for ETH, and there are a few reasons for this, which I'm going to get onto in a second. This is a very good solid breakout right here. This red line is a support level from a long time ago. So if we actually look back in the chart, quite a while back, you'll see some trade around this level. You can see when ETH broke out last time and it really came back and pulled back to this level around 1,400, 1,500. So it's a round number that traders were kind of trading it at and it pulled back at. And so you may see this come back to this level as well, around 1,400. But ETH is such a reactionary kind of trade that it can very easily just come and actually test these levels around 1,800 as well, which is kind of the next resistance there. Really bullish move for ETH, and just moving into the merge, I can't really see too much negative on the downside for the merge. Obviously, if the merge gets delayed and something negative happens, that's not going to be good news, right? But there's a lot going on right now, and people in the industry, especially if you follow those Twitter accounts of the Ethereum developers, they're saying, hey, this thing is coming, right? And it's scheduled now for about the middle to the end of September, right? Which is really close. And that is why when that announcement came out, you've just basically seen this huge move, right? From 1,000 up to 15. So it's gone up 50% in a matter of days. Really, really bullish move here. Like I said, on the technicals, it may come back to consolidate around 13 before our next move up, or it may even just move here. And if we get some more easing in the real economy, this could definitely shoot up. So a very bullish chart and a massive narrative around the merge for Ethereum right now. Got a ton of videos on the ETH merge and why it's important and how it's returning value to investors, all in the crypto course. I'll leave that link in the description. Private Discord groups about, you know, what I'm trading as well. I've been buying ETH all through that period. So if you want to see trades and portfolio and my portfolio and ask other people questions, it's all in the crypto course. You can check that out. This, though, is the important thing. ETH BTC, right? And what you're seeing over the last year or so, it's a fairly long-term chart, is ETH making higher lows against Bitcoin, right? So if you've got one of the other of these, now I think they're both different assets and they're good for different things, but comparing them is important. You're seeing Ethereum make a bunch of higher lows against Bitcoin, and there's a few reasons for this. First is the narrative that Ethereum is actually going to become deflationary. And that just returns values to shareholders, right? Think of a share buyback, just what Apple does, right? Apple buys back shares and cancels those shares. And so each share is worth more because it has a larger amount of the profits, right, from the company. That's what ETH is doing with its token burn. It's also yielding a high amount as well to investors rather than miners. And so when investors are looking at this, they're thinking, wow, that's a good asset. It's going to be deflationary, it's going to do share buybacks, and it's going to give me a yield. This is a great asset to get into. And that is why you can see it's actually outperforming BTC over the long term really quite significantly. Now, during the 3AC and Celsius blow up, you had this huge issue with staked ETH, okay, because they needed to get rid of it because they needed liquidity. And you got this huge dump, right? And this is a massive, you know, issue. Now, hodlers can obviously stick with this. You know, but those companies who were liquidating all their assets, they just had to get rid of everything, and they got rid of Bitcoin and ETH, and that was it. But now what we're seeing is, you know, potentially a return, right? So after the selling was done, you just see these higher lows printing the whole time, right? And it just shows a real demand for this asset. And then obviously with the merge, you know, being penciled in for now, I think the 19th of September, that happens. And what you're seeing really importantly is another small consolidation around this level right here, you know, around the uptrend. This is a really important level. If we consolidate around this uptrend, don't go under it and then obviously move up further, it just kind of confirms this uptrend in ETH versus Bitcoin, at least over, you know, the last few years. So what exactly is the merge? Well, it's a huge amount of different technology upgrades. For investors, the main points are right here. ETH moves to proof of stake. What that means for investors is instead of miners using energy and getting all those rewards, now the rewards are passed back to investors who have their ETH staked. Okay, so you're going to be getting around anywhere from 4 to 8% as a staking yield. The emissions of ETH that will be coming from fees, they will go back into stakers exactly the same as a stock dividend, right? So you're getting paid for investing in and staking your coins. Staking APR expected to double from now. It's around 4% now. Could be anywhere from 4 to 8%. It depends on a few factors. ETH goes net deflationary. What does that mean? Again, they take some of the fees that the protocol earns and they buy tokens in the open market, and then or they just reduce emissions from ETH, and then they take them out of circulation. This is exactly the same as a share buyback. So every profitable company at some point buys back shares, returns those profits to shareholders. This is the similar sort of thing you can think of it. The only difference is this is coded, right? So it's a hard-coded share buyback, if you want to think of it like that. So it's not open to the CEO saying, well, we think we might not do one this year or whatever. It's just hard-coded. If the protocol is making money, it will take that ETH out of supply. And this is all positive for the fundamental value of ETH. Staking queue opens 6 months after the merge. So when the merge happens, it's not like a ton of staked ETH is going to come on the market and get dumped. It comes after 6 months, and then it comes in stages after that. So it's not all going to get dumped initially. Here is some more info on that. Bloomberg estimates 9% ETH staking yield and minus 2% issuance reduction post-merge. So think of a 9% dividend and a share buyback totaling 2% of supply coming down. Now that's different to, something like Bitcoin, which is obviously not paying any yields to investors. It's paying those profits to miners who mine in the network, and it doesn't pay a yield. So look, both are different. I think both are very, very different investments, but investors looking at this who invest in equities and saying, wow, minus 2% share buyback and 9% dividend yield, that's a pretty good investment. So obviously there's a ton of risk here and volatility and everything. That is the whole point. We're in it, right? So what you can see here is, the yield right here, 8% or so for Ethereum, outperforming, most other asset classes right here. Now, this is an ETH maxi right here, so he's obviously going to be making it look good. But as you can see, Apple have about a 3% share reduction from share buybacks each year. Ethereum's going to be more or less the same as that. So when people say ETH is deflationary, look, it's just a share buyback, and that's fine because it's returning value to investors, which is why investors are looking at this thing as a great investment. Absolutely impossible to know where the price goes from here, of course. We've already risen up so much that, we could get a pullback. But, for me, dollar cost averaging is the only way to get into these things. And you want to just be part of this rather than trying to time the market. That's how I do things anyway. If you want to learn more about that, check out the crypto course in the description. If you want $4,000 as a deposit bonus on Bybit, check that link as well. I'm James, it's Money CG. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.